morning. All right, Alex, thank you very much. Joining me now, political strategist and commentator Rina Shah, along with Jonathan Cott, former staff member for the Senators Joe Manchin and Chris Coons, who's a partner with Capitol Counsel LLC. Good morning to you both. Thanks for being here. Rina, let me start with you. I think it's interesting hearing from Alex and Mills there from the different campaign approaches in a state like Wisconsin. It seems like Democrats are on campus. They're focusing on the young vote. Republicans know that some of the old ways work really well and that older voters show up to vote come November. Talk about these differing strategies and who wins ultimately in the end.
When we look at where we are at the state of the race right now, we can say one thing here. It's a race that, again, is anyone's. And I think will be that way right up until Election Day. We're seeing that statistical dead heat, and I'm not seeing something through which either candidate is able to break through. What I'm talking about walls here, and particularly in the Midwest where you have that blue wall, I'm not sure Trump is really able to make these inroads using any other playbook than that of fear. But one thing is true here, Marnie, and the last thing I want to bring you this morning is a really reductive take, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say what this race is really about, in my opinion, and it is about personality and not policies. So therefore, you have that playbook from Trump. What he's employing is that of fear tactics, driving people to the polls by saying this administration, of which this VP is very much a part of and should own, has not made your life any better. Take a chance back on me. And again, we don't know if this is going to work. I'm not seeing any good evidence that shows me that it is working, but it's really all he's got in lieu of what would be considered a robust grassroots operation that would entail numerous field offices per state, which is what you're seeing from Harris so far.
Jonathan, is there some truth to that this in this generation, especially when you talk about young voters, it is more personality than politics? And what's the campaign strategy to meet that?
I don't think it's more personality. It's appealing to issues that matter to them, but talking to them in a way that they actually can hear. I think a lot of times we just assume, oh, we run a bunch of TV ads, we run a bunch of ads in newspapers. That's not where young voters are getting their news. It's also not how they communicate. So the Harris campaign is being brilliant in how they're talking to them. You saw at the DNC, they brought out all of those influencers, gave them media credentials. Republicans aren't anywhere close to that. I mean, Donald Trump goes on a couple podcasts, but his message is fear instead of joy, which is the Harris-Walz message. And he's just trying to bring out more low-propensity white male voters. I think what you're seeing from Harris and Walz is they're trying to bring out lots of voters, including young people, by explaining to them where they hear their news from, what issues matter to them. Like, brats are brat is something you're going to see a lot of in Wisconsin. But they're also going to then talk about what they're doing to help food prices come down, how they're going to help them with student loan payments, stuff like that matters to them. But how they communicate is just a better way to get their message out.
Rita, how about the Nikki Haley supporters? Where are they leaning right now when you talk about undecided voters, independent voters, which are two very different things? But which campaign is doing a better job finding those voters right now and getting support?
Trump would be doing far better at this point in the race if he had actually chosen Nikki Haley. And it was down to Haley and Vance is what we know. And he made the decision to go with Vance, who has been really a sandbag on this campaign. Anywhere they put him out to, he doesn't seem to land any kind of punches. He doesn't really even meet the moment well. So I think he remains a big liability for this campaign. But when you look at Haley voters, these were people who took to the message she had on that primary debate stage last fall. Now feels like years ago. But when you look at Haley voters, what they care about are much of the same things that center-left voters care about as well. And so you see that mix there. But about this talk of Harris being the underdog, which is a through line I'm seeing in the messaging, particularly in the past few days, I'm not sure that the Haley voter fully buys that. And I'm not sure entirely which voters buy that. I'm not saying that this is a deficiency on the campaign's part. I'm just saying she does happen to be with Biden in the White House. House right now. So that's somewhere where Trump and his people see an opening to continue to pin her to Biden policies, to Bidenomics, of which she hasn't done a great job divorcing herself from. But by and large, putting those issues aside for a moment, Haley voters do tend to skew left. But at the end of the day, when you take stock of this race, what we're looking at is Trump still making pretty good headway in the polls, something that I certainly did not expect at this point in the race, given his loss in 2020 and given the American appetite for someone new every 4 to 8 years.
Yeah, neck and neck, making this debate next week all the more important. Got to leave it there for time, but Rina and Jonathan, thanks as always to you both.